Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday call. We are doing a very unique call today. Different than probably any Tuesday call I've done. I've done unplugged calls with like one guest where we were just making it up and winging it as we went, but I've never done it with six guests. So the theme of today's call is how to be insanely productive in 2017, borrowing from the Darren Hardy special program that I'm doing. Very proud of what we're doing with Darren, where he's got a product called Insane Productivity. We joint ventured with him to create Insane Productivity with Mortgage Coach. And I invited some folks that I respect to help participate and people that have gone through that program. So, first, as my co-facilitator today, we've got Mr. Todd Bookspan. Todd, welcome to the call, and thanks for making time, brother.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. Welcome to all the people who are on board listening today. I'm always impressed with the group that comes right out of the holidays on a week where most people are taking off and is here to learn. That's what a great community.
Yeah, no, it's a great community. We also have Kristin Messerly, our millennial representation. She's going to share some insane productivity strategies for social media. Hey, Kristin, how goes?
Hey, thanks for having me on the call.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you. I've asked Danny Harani, who's one of the top loan officers in the country. He signed up for this program when we launched it months ago. Danny, thanks for taking time during the holiday with your family to add value today.
Thank you, Dave.
Right on. And then we've got Dave Gallegos, branch manager out of Colorado. He's been through Darren's Insane Productivity program a lot of times. Dave, thanks for making time.
Good to be here.
Right on. So before we kick it off, I wanted to shine a light on two Mortgage Coach things that I want to make sure you guys are tuned in on. One, I put a post in LinkedIn last week on what I thought were the top 15 interviews of 2016. By the way, it wasn't just me. I mean, based on how many times they were viewed, so the audience weighed in, how many comments they had, and then internal conversation with the team. We put out what we thought were the 15 best. I did post in our Power User group on Facebook, out of the top 6, what's your favorite? And I am going to put a poll question up at some point during the call. I want to get a poll. If you did listen to one of these 6 calls or you listened to all 6 of them, I do want to know what the audience thinks are the best of the best. Also, before we get into the call, I thought last week's call with Steve Harney was special, and I think every mortgage coach, at least if you're not going to watch the whole hour, watch the first 25 minutes. Steve does a great job of providing a forecast of what he thinks is going to happen in 2017. But I think more importantly than the forecast, I think if your goal is to be a trusted advisor and not an app taker, the slides that he shared, the message that he brought, I think it's just cornerstone to being a trusted advisor. So to me, that's the first insane productivity strategy of the day, which is, be a trusted advisor, understand what's happening in the market, why it's happening, and watch that Steve Harney video. Todd, I know you had a chance to watch a few minutes of it. Any commentary before we get into the content?
Well, yeah, I think it's so easy that an action plan for everyone on this call, you highlighted 16 great Mortgage Coach interviews, and I would just be plotting it on my calendar for the next 3 weeks every morning. Block off an hour and just watch those, because there's a ton of gold in all of those interviews. I listened to most of those last year and shockingly was part of one. However, I think that there's no doubt that everyone will learn if they listen to those. And I do think on the Steve Harney interview in particular that, he's super upbeat on next year. And those of you who don't know who Steve is, he really is a guru on the real estate side. He's really respected in that community as well as in our community. And I just think there's some great key points that all of us can listen to use in conversations with both borrowers and partners next year. And I think that's just a huge opportunity, and I wouldn't want you guys to miss it.
Right on. Thank you, Todd. So guys, here's what we're doing. So everybody that's on the leadership side of this call, we have gone through Darren's program, Insane Productivity, and we even came up with what we thought were the 12 not just big takeaways, but things that we really wanted to remember. And so we put that handout in the handout section. But you're on this call and we have hundreds of folks. I actually didn't expect to have hundreds of people. I figured if I had 50 mortgage coach community people that wanted to be on this call, I'd be here and I'd invite some folks. And gosh, we've got a lot of folks. So I want you to download the handouts. We put it, Steve Harney's slides from last week, and there's a few other takeaways that we'll reference throughout the call. But this is going to be very organic conversation. So if you have questions, ask them, and we'll try to get to them. But let's kick things off. Todd, I'm going to just throw it to Kristin because she's got some vision and some ideas around, social. We all know that social could be a waste of time. It could suck up a lot of time from priorities, but it can also help you be more efficient. And then, Todd, I'll hand it off to you to just pull in questions from the audience, and then let's bring in our other leaders with our other insane productivity strategies. Sound good?
Sounds perfect. Let's do it.
All right. So Kristin, rock it out.
Okay, I am turning on my webcam because I think that we can have a little bit more of a personal conversation. I first want to say that in talking about social media and going through insane productivity, sometimes those two topics can clash. And it's very easy, as all of you know, to go on social media, feel like you're going to do something business-oriented, and then you end up an hour later having watched several cat videos and you don't know what's happened. So I think it's really important that you have a very specific strategy because social media is still critical to being insanely productive. And in today's marketplace, and you have to be speaking the digital language. And I know that's a common theme that we always talk about with mortgage coach community, is just being mobile, digital, speaking the language of your consumers. And social media just is a critical part of that. There's so much research that I have a video in the product that I talk a little bit about this, but that shows that people use social media to inform their purchasing decisions. I think there's a stat that showed 75% of people say that social media informs their purchasing decisions. I think that's just kind of common sense, though. Everyone is going online to research their lenders or realtors, to go on there and say, who has a recommendation for a lender or realtor. And especially for millennials, we do extensive research to find out who we think is going to be the best fit for us. And so you want to make sure that you have a good presence on there. Obviously, I think we all know that it's important to have a professional presence, but it can get very overwhelming or create less productivity for you. So there's a few things that I wanted to just throw out there to kind of encourage you guys to be more productive through social media or digital marketing. The first is something that's a consistent theme across the products that Darren Hardy talks about quite a bit. It's just setting aside those jam sessions, or for me, even with social media, you can have really short periods of time that you just check in maybe once a week, as I think Darren suggests once a week. I would recommend maybe 2 or 3 times a week or every day where you just have 15 minutes set aside and you go on social media and interact with people. You have to be extremely intentional about that time, but one way to do that is set up client lists or friend lists. You can do that in Facebook and in Twitter, especially where you just put people into groups. And so, for example, if you put all of your realtors or all of your clients in one friend list, then in your news feed, when you click on that list, you only see their posts. So you can quickly go on there, like a bunch of their posts, leave some comments, and then you've really engaged. And you can do the same thing with Twitter. So it's a really great way to kind of be efficient with your time, but still have conversation, show your presence, show that you are in relationship with your audience. And that's really the key that we're putting out there through the mortgage coach community, is being transparent, building relationship, showing your authenticity, and being informative. So to demonstrate your brand about being informative and transparent, you can also set up to schedule posts on social media using things like Hootsuite. There's a bunch of other platforms, but that one's free, where you just schedule your posts out in advance, and then you are only logging into social media to engage with people who have left comments or your friend lists and engage with their posts. So I have a tutorial on that if you're not familiar with using Hootsuite, but schedule those out and then make sure that if a crisis happens or anything like that, you're pulling down those posts or not. You're just kind of being aware that you've scheduled out posts so that you can not come across as disingenuous. But anyway, those are a couple of quick efficiency strategies to remain on social media but utilize it to your advantage. Going through Insane Productivity, I found so many ways that I was not being productive, and a lot of it involved technology. But I don't want you to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just find ways to utilize that technology to your advantage so that you can be more productive and still remain relevant in today's marketplace.
Oh, that is so awesome. So, Kristin, what platforms do you think are the go-to platforms that people need to make sure that they're on?
Facebook is still #1 across the board. Everyone talks about how millennials are leaving Facebook, and while that might be somewhat true, they're still going to Facebook to research people, and everyone, it's still by far like so much. Actually, there's a great mortgage coach call that talks about this, where but Facebook would be #1. 2 is LinkedIn with referral partners and realtors or for recruitment. And then 3 would be Twitter. It kind of depends on your audience and your target, but Twitter and Instagram are both really great platforms there. But then outside of that, it's kind of considered social media is customer reviews. Make sure that everyone should be asking for a customer review after every closing. That should just be standard practice because that is what's going to everyone will Google your name when first starting to look at working with you, and that's the reviews are the things that are going to come up first. And that's what builds trust with people. I think there's a stat that said 88% of people trust customer reviews as much as personal referrals. So especially whenever you're providing an exceptional experience with Mortgage Coach, you want to get those testimonials out after every closing. That's considered social media. You can do that through Facebook or Yelp or other platforms.
That was like you stole my question there. So ask for reviews on Facebook, on Yelp, and then are there Google reviews as well? Are those important?
Yeah, so I just recommend starting with 1 and focusing on that because whichever site you use for reviews, some people really dislike Yelp. I find it really great. So, I mean, it's kind of up to your preference, but if you choose to use Yelp, for example, then stay there for a while until you get a solid amount of reviews, and then you can move on to using, I would recommend Yelp, Yelp, Google, or Facebook as the top 3 choices. There is Zillow and a couple others, but I would start with one of those 3.
And what's a great way to ask for the referral to make sure that you get a 5-star review? Every once in a while I've seen where a loan officer will get a 4-star review, and the person, if you just read the review itself, you would have thought it was a 5-star review, but the person only hit the 4 stars. And since the number of stars is so important, do you have any suggestions on how to make sure that someone gives you a 5-star review?
Yes, great question. So first of all, 4-star reviews are not bad. I think that a lot of people are scared of getting any kind of bad review and or negative review. And really, we are going to look through and read those reviews. And we want to see when people say something negative, how you respond to that. So I'll start by saying, just if you get a negative review, just make sure you respond professionally online, publicly, and then you can take it offline to discuss it with the client later. But make sure you leave a public quick response. And then to get more 5-star reviews, it just means you have to ask for a review after every closing and make it standard practice where you send them a text message saying, hey, thank you so much I had a great time working with you, congratulations again. When you have a chance, will you leave me a review? And then include a link to the page where they would leave the review. So that's really, really important to have that process in place. I highly recommend that you text that to them. You can automate those texts, by the way, but you can also email them. But make sure it's so easy. Most people want to leave the review, but they are hesitant to do it. So you want to make sure you make it easy for them. So having 5-star reviews is not as great as having 100 4-star reviews. So the quantity is also going to improve your credibility as well. So I wouldn't be nervous about getting those 4-star reviews or negative reviews. As long as you're consistently asking for them, then you're more likely to get the 5-star reviews.
Love it. Love it. That's great advice. All right. So people are scratching their head. How do you automate your text to go out to these people?
That's a little bit more complicated question, but I think Dave would actually have some good insights on this as well. But I use a system called simple texting, and so I don't ask for the reviews. That's not what I'm using it for, but I can automate text going through that way. So I would probably recommend setting it up so that you have you're plugging in all of those texts to go out through a system like simple texting, or there's so many other platforms out there. Text It is a new one, and then you type in the text to the phone number, and then you can schedule it. And so it's something your assistant could do, or you can do just in a jam session.
Love it. Love it. All right, Dave, what questions am I forgetting to ask?
So couple things. So as I start off the call, let's make this a conversation. For Steve Hogarth, how's it going, buddy? By the way, Todd, he gave us a nice thank you in here. So do ask questions. Couple things. If you're on this call and you are using reviews to build credibility, let us know what you're doing. Share a success story. If you were using text, Kristin highlighted simple texting. I mean, let's face it, guys. We live in a world that's an omni-channel world. We need to communicate with clients, email, the telephone, text, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever channels that family is on, we need to communicate with them efficiently and effectively in those channels. So if you're doing something, let us know what you're doing. By the way, I just saw Frank, I'm not Baumgartner, weighed in saying he's using Big Purple Dot. Is there a better CRM? By the way, Fred, the best CRM is the CRM that you use. So congratulations if you're using it. Any other ideas, feel free to weigh in on them. Todd, I'll hand it back to you. I know we have a lot of other insane productive strategies to share. And again, folks, ask questions and share what's working for you.
I don't think the rest of us are quite as brave as Kristin to have our webcams on, but you know, I'm super appreciative of all the panelists for being on here. You know, it says something, Dave, about you and about this community that people are taking time away from their family vacations to be on this call. And so let's call on Danny. I know, you know, I learned so much. You know, one of the great things about hosting the Insane Productivity weekly calls that we've done for the last few months for those people who are part of Insane Productivity has been getting to know some of these other just awesome producers from around the country. And I've learned so much from having Danny on those calls. And I know, Danny, you've got some ideas around jam sessions. Come on in, let's hear what you have to say.
So ultimately, for me, the biggest thing about Insane Productivity is actually doing stuff, right? So it's about figuring out how to take the time that's in the day and make it more useful to you and make it more impactful to your business and to your team. And by far and away, the most useful tactic that I took away from the Insane Productivity sessions was the jam sessions, which for anybody who hasn't you know, gone through the program, a jam session is basically they say 90 minutes. I would say anything from 45 to 90 minutes that you block out and you just focus on one task and just get hyper focused on it. And the first thing is just making the time, 45 to 90 minutes. You shut your door, you let your team know, you put yourself on do not disturb, and you focus in on one thing that you need to get done. And just having that time set aside will just open your eyes to how frantic your day is. The first time you try to do it, it will be approaching impossible. People will be knocking on your door, coming in. You'll be tempted to check your emails. You'll all of a sudden need another cup of coffee or have to go to the bathroom, and your brain is just going to try to derail you from this process of just focusing in on going deep on one task. So once you can get into the habit of getting those jam sessions set aside, and as you can see in the worksheet, the question is, have you done one jam session today? When Darren talks about his day, he blocks out 2 to 3 jam sessions, 90-minute jam sessions in a day, which explains why he's one of the most productive people that the world has ever seen. And he has that focused time. And then what the Insane Productivity modules help you do after that, the intro is basically just a revelation that your world is just inundated with all of these distractions that are trying to derail you from what you really need to do. And then the jam sessions help create a framework where you can set aside the time to protect yourself from all those distractions. And then later on, what the modules go into is how you can then refine the time that you're spending so that you're hyper-focused on the things that are really valuable to you and the people that you're trying to help. And identifying those top 2 or 3 activities that really move the needle on your business. And then also doing a little bit of soul searching to say, not just what should I be doing, but why am I doing it? You know, what's the impact here? You know, what's the outcome that I'm looking for? And once you start really focusing in on those questions, what I found was that a lot of the things that I was doing in the day, a lot of the activities that I was kind of hoarding and protecting were things that I really didn't need to be doing. And it gave me the permission to then release those things out to the team, which made them happy, made them more empowered, and frankly allowed me to focus in my time on the things that I really needed to be doing, that there wasn't another person that was capable of taking on. So just that, the evolution of the jam session for me has really been a massive, massive takeaway from the program.
Love it. And that was a common theme throughout all of our Friday calls. So can you give a couple examples, Danny, of things you worked on initially when you were doing jam sessions and kind of some things maybe you'd be working on now?
Yeah, my original jam sessions was really, it was focused on kind of the in-the-weeds activities of the business. It would be analyzing our pipeline and seeing, what loans were going off track, and really just being, in the business and almost babysitting the work that I was hoping would be getting done, and finding that there were definitely gaps in that. And it was almost, it was that drug of, savior that we all are addicted to, that, I would come out and say, oh, what's going on with this file and how can I help? And, just jump in and basically take all of the power away from the people that were already 95% to a solution. Now it's my solution, not theirs. So what it ended up happening was I was recognizing that that's what was happening, and then, started thinking, well, what, and in the meantime, I'm, reading leadership books and doing other things that have really helped with growth over 2016, and then started asking the team, what am I doing to get in your way? And then that was one of the things they revealed. I was like, oh man, I better slow down on this and maybe focus on other stuff. And today, and it's really super timely, because going into 2017, we really needed a sound, solid business plan, our partnership and team. And what the jam sessions allowed me to do, along with some of my business partners, is really focus the time on the business. And then, so the intermediate step was using the jam sessions to ask, what can I give up? And then the later sessions were, what do we need to be doing differently to build and expand our business? And that's what the recent jam sessions have been spent on. So it was really kind of an in-the-weeds move out to a lot more big picture.
No, and I love that, because I think that's always the challenge. I hear people say, well, what the heck am I going to work on for 45 minutes or 90 minutes or whatever that time frame is? And I love the fact that you can be transparent and share that it is in the weeds, I think, for most people when they start. And then, ultimately it sounds like you're just doing some super, super big rocks, some super important things that are going to move your team forward in 2017.
Yeah, and it's not perfect. I mean, that's the other thing, is that the shut door does not necessarily mean you're going to get left alone the whole time, even today. So that you have to kind of take it and just look to get better, just a little bit better every day. It's not a flip of the switch. It took a lot of time even to get 30 minutes of dedicated time. Even now, when the team knows and they encourage the jam session, there's still things that derail it. So you just have to keep after it.
Well, I think that is a big challenge, right? How do you actually set it up so that no one's bugging you, and so that you're not allowing yourself to be distracted? Any recommendations there?
Well, one is schedule the time when the distractions are the least. So for early morning or late at night are great times. The clients aren't calling, the team isn't there, asking for help. So you can use, extra time that previously wasn't, you weren't focusing in on things like that. Early morning, late at night is great. And then the other is to just explain to those people, if it's your team, if it's your clients, if it's your agents, how the time spent benefits them. And I know that, trust me, I know that's not something that's very easy to do. If your top referral source is calling you in the middle of a jam session, if mine did right now, I would answer the phone. So again, it's not perfect, but there are things that are going to be, if you're getting better, those people that you support are going to be beneficiaries of that. So articulating that, and almost with the team now, they almost encourage that time where I can focus in, because they know that it means that we all are going to be the beneficiaries of that time.
That's huge.
And real quick, Danny, while the Insane Productivity team knows you well, and I've interviewed you enough time, I think a lot of folks know, but how many loans are you and your team going to close this year, just to get a feel for the number of families you're serving?
So all in with our team, all the originators on our team will end the year at probably about 890 units for $385 million.
And what about you? When you think of your contribution, and I don't know exactly how you guys split it up over there, but how do you look at the families you're serving for the year?
I'm directly interacting, and less all the time. I mean, this is another really interesting thing about what Insane Productivity helped me do, is that recognizing where I was getting significance from, and really taking less. This is going to sound crazy, but less ownership of the result. So I recognize less and less of what we were actually doing as my own personal fingerprint. I've probably touched about 250 million of that 385 in some way, meaning talked to the client in some way, or facilitated the process.
So I just wanted everybody to hear that, because here's Danny, who, one, he made the time to spend 3 hours a week on Insane Productivity. The guy's reading books, the guy's doing jam sessions, and he's helping hundreds of families a year get a mortgage. So I just saw a comment from Troy Root, another Insane Productivity brother, and he made a comment on how amazing it was to realize, we have enough time. Multitasking gets in our way, and I can only speak, from personal experience. One thing that I've been studying a lot is just, what I call the human adaptability of technology. And today, where technology is and where we are as humans, we're off. We're not utilizing technology as effectively as we could and should. And when you really look at how fast tech is changing, both social and mobile, the opportunity is just getting bigger. So, and remember, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, there's a lot of us, by the way, myself included, when I take inventory of how I need to utilize technology to be more efficient and effective, sometimes it's tone it down. Do I need to be, I don't even know how many times a day I look at Facebook, or I look at some social stream, or I'm being interrupted from, quiet time and jam sessions from some alerts, although I've turned my alerts off. But here's a big takeaway, folks. One, you have time to do jam sessions. And two, you need to crush it with technology, and you need to do it now. That's one of the things that is a theme to us. But if you want to be insanely productive, you need to use technology. It needs to be your friend. You need to leverage it in smart ways, and you need to reduce it in ways that aren't, so smart. One last thought, and then I'll hand it back to you, Todd, because I know we've got a lot of ideas to get out. The Gaylord Hansen team has done, a number of interviews, but this year, Anthony, you were part of the Mortgage Coach Scripts call, which I put up as my number 3 call of the year. I have been getting survey results where right now, by the way, Danny, that is leading. That might actually end up being the number 1 call of the year, although I don't know how you're going to take Jocko out for that. And then your partner, Sam Hansen, with build, lead, and manage world-class teams, it was the number 4 call of the year. So I am going to post up a poll at the end. Please vote if you listen to one or all of these calls. I want to know what the hundreds of people on today's call, I want to know what you thought was the best call of the year. But I'm going to also post a link to Danny's call because everything that him and his team do is just best of breed, best of the best. Thanks, Danny. I really appreciate everything you bring to the table, brother.
Anytime, man.
Todd, back to you.
Yeah, that's always huge, and I love the fact that that you're going to keep this top interviews of the year alive, and hopefully this will be a great call. Probably won't be in the top 15, but nonetheless something that you guys all relish. From the perspective of kind of other ideas, one of the reasons that Dave has this crew together is you've got some people who were new to insane productivity, and then there's a couple of us, myself included, who have long time been part of Darren's community, friends with Darren, and Dave Gallegos contributed as well to the insane productivity side of things, and always just brings great value. How you doing, Dave?
Good.
All right, so you want to talk about bookending your day, which was the other big, huge aha for a lot of people. Let's hear it.
And then I wanted to go ahead. I'm okay with the camera, so there you go. And that's what to me the best module in the whole insane productivity program is module 8. There's just so much value, but I reiterate this to everybody. I'm going to go back through it again this year. It'll be the third time or fourth time. I can't recall now, depending on when I first got it, but it'll be the third or fourth time that I've gone through it. It's something that I just decided that I'm going to do every year in the first quarter. But when I get to module 8 to me just creates so much leverage in my day. And the reason that it does is the bookending, the concept of bookending your day, where you set up a routine for the morning and you set up a routine for the evening. And they're really simple. I mean, once you, and when I first was introduced to this concept, it was just like this aha thing. You realize that you do all kinds of things in routine every day. You do that consistently. A good example is, I'm sure that most of us brushed our teeth this morning, but if you had to think about brushing your teeth, it becomes mechanical and it becomes something that, it's like, oh yeah, I have to brush my teeth. You have to remember to do that. Well, your routine is you just brush your teeth. You don't even think about it. It's almost something that you do mindlessly because you have to do it, and it's automatic and it's very productive. When you think about how you brush your teeth, it's a really productive time of your day because you bang that out without even thinking about it, right? Well, it's the same type. For me, it's setting up the same types of routines in our day when it comes to setting up our morning. So we all know that we want to start the day off. We want to do certain things every day, and we want to accomplish some basics for me. So every morning for me, I want to get some reading in. I want to work out. I want to meditate. I want to depending on and certain times of day, but I want to be done, and I want to get on my way to work. And so I have a schedule. It's a schedule that I have written out of what time that starts and what time that ends, and what time I work out. I have a kind of a home workout gym thing, and I work out at home, so I know what time I'm supposed to go downstairs to start working out, so that I can stay in that routine, and it just keeps everything going. And same thing at the end of the day. It's how I set up for tomorrow. So it's calibrating my day. I update my Living Your Best Year Ever journal every morning. I also keep a separate journal, and I also write in a journal for my wife. So I mean, those are all part of that routine. And as I was sitting here listening to the jam session discussion that Danny was talking about, it's the same type of thing. I mean, a jam session is really a scheduled event that you're going to break out the time. Well, that's what a bookend of your morning is, and a bookend of your evening is you've jam sessioned your morning, right? So I know what I'm going to be doing, and that always includes 30 minutes of reading. That's when I get my 30 minutes of reading in every day. So a couple of quotes that I thought of while I was listening. I'm a big fan of it, and I get coached by a company called Gazelles. It's a business coaching company. I think Dave Savage has been involved in that in the past, and great book that if you haven't read it, it's just a great book on business building and how to scale a company. It's called Scaling Up, the Rockefeller Habits. But there's a quote in there that's called "Routines will set you free," and that's what I'm talking. That's what this is. It's routines will set you free, and That's kind of the concept. It's one of the things that they teach you. And in business, a routine does set you free because it's something that you're doing consistently every day. Another quote, and this is from Extreme Ownership that everybody got, which is the chapter, the title of the book was, or a title of one of the chapters in Extreme Ownership is Discipline Equals Freedom. That's what a routine does. A routine becomes something that you do consistently, and because it's a routine and you're disciplined and you're following it, you create freedom for yourself. It's counterintuitive. Discipline sounds like not freedom, right? But the fact of the matter is that discipline equals freedom, and we practice that here every day, and it's a way to create some great leverage. This isn't hard. I mean, that's one of the things that I would tell people, that if you've not done this before, it's important to remember that once you start doing this, it's as simple as brushing your teeth. I mean, I don't give this a lot of thought anymore. This is my life. This is how I live my life, and it's very productive for me. So that's it.
No, and I love that, and it's simple, and I got to imagine there's some people who are thinking, oh, really, like this is like one of the huge takeaways from this program. But, you know, one of the things that Darren says at the beginning, he said, number one is, so don't say told. He said, are you doing it? Number one. And, you know, ask yourself that if you think, oh, Dave's got this great morning routine, the question is, do you? And then if you do, then the question is, have you mastered it? And then finally, you know, you ask, well, do your results prove it? Which Darren would probably add that, hey, does your bank account show that? But, I mean, what do you think, Dave? I mean, what are the top things that you personally have gotten out of having an incredible morning and evening routine?
Well, it's how I do my, it's how I'm able to, you know, so if you scroll down here a little bit, it's like, how are you, Dave, scroll down to the bottom of this 12 weekly reminders. There's a section down there at the bottom. Is like, are you a lifelong learner? Darren's quarterly decisions. Like, pick the one vital few in the skill actions, read 5 books, 3 webinars, live event. I'm able to, you know, it seems like that would be impossible to do. It's like, oh my God, how am I going to read 5 books and watch 3 webinars and go to a live event? It's like, well, it's routines, it's scheduling, it's planning, so I'm able to make improvements. And like, so one of the things that we worked on for years, and I ended up doing it, was just improving our hiring process, because hiring 9s and 10s, right? Hiring A players is so critical to the success of an organization. And honestly, I was sitting at a Darren Hardy Insane Productivity event, and I went, oh yeah, I've got to learn how to hire better. And I ended up going to the top grading hiring coaching system, read the book. I mean, to me, that's how you're able to create that, those improvements in your life. Is I read the book, I listened to the audio book, I went to the 2-day workshop, and we've implemented the top grading hiring system here in Denver. So that's how it shows up for me.
No, and I think that's awesome. And so, you know, kind of my thought and my encouragement to all of you who are on here is to sort of take this time, right? I think we have a unique week this week. Certainly some of you have some referral partners who are working, and you need to make sure that you're attentive. I always say it's a great week to be picking up the phone and calling people and checking on their Christmas, asking about their plans for New Year, and most importantly, you know, showing gratitude, thanking them for their business. But it's also a great week for you guys to take inventory as you're listening to Danny and Dave and kind of some of these other ideas. I mean, you have such a gift, potentially a time where you don't have a lot of clients bugging you, you don't have a lot of realtors checking in, and you've got the ability to use this for a little bit of you time and schedule some jam sessions where you're listening to these mortgage coach calls. It's just such a great resource to have the best out there. And then also, you know, you really do have, you do have just such great free stuff that I don't know that a lot of other industries have. Mr. Savage, what else do you think with regards to bookending your day would be great to add here?
Well, I mean, I think all of us have heard it so many times, and you know, the Hal Elrod call that I did to kick off 2016. I mean, you know, The Miracle Morning is just an incredible book. If you haven't read it, check it out. And for those of you, which are probably most of you, that either have and know this, you know, it's a new, you know, every day represents a new opportunity. Every year represents a new year. You know, the whole purpose of today's call is kick off 2017 right. I do want to mention that I'm going to be interviewing Darren on January 10th. I have put a link to that in the chat section, along with other things along the way. So if you have not signed up, join that call. This call will definitely be a great call to invite a realtor to, or a referral partner. Definitely a call to watch with your team. I told when Darren said, "Hey, what are we going to talk about? What questions should we address?" And I'm like, Darren, I just want to help the mortgage coach community kick off 2017 right, and I can't think of anybody better than you to kind of write that script. What questions should I ask you to help kick off 2017 and make it the best year you've ever had? As Steve Harney said, we definitely have a lot of macroeconomic conditions playing to our favor. And I think right now our biggest opportunity is just improving ourselves. It's not even about strategies. You want more business, then become the person you need to become to do that. And that probably means a better morning ritual. That definitely means jam sessions. That definitely means doing what you're supposed to do. Most of you on this call, we all know what we're supposed to do. It's just doing it, more consistently. By the way, Todd, I think Jen may have joined the call. I'm going to give Jen a chance. Jen, are you on the call? Jen Duplessis. All right, I'm going to try to.
I think she's there and muted. Let me see if I can Are you unmuting her, Dave?
I'm trying to find her, but I'm not seeing her over there.
All right, I'm going to mute her. There we go. All right, now Jen can probably hear us. Hey.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, Jen, how are you doing?
Good. How are you? Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Hey, it's good to have you, Jen. You always deliver so much value in the community. I still remember our interview last year. But I don't know, have you been on the whole call, by the way?
Yeah, I have.
So what do you want to bring to the community as it pertains to just insane productivity strategies to help them go to the next level?
Yeah, I think the same thing that I've said pretty much the whole time that we've been, on all of these calls. I just want to reiterate, and I see that through Dave and through Todd as well, is that we're just kind of reiterating some of the things that we've been saying before. And the biggest thing that I learned through insane productivity is time compression. So we've talked about, having your miracle morning. We've talked about bookending your day and doing your jam sessions. But outside of that, when you've done the things that Darren has suggested that we do, is, to really bookend that day and do that jam session. When it gets to actually doing your work, it's really, really important that we're compressing the same activities. So the example is not going to a business-to-business meeting with a referral partner, and out of the office, and then running all the way back to the office to meet with a client, only to go back out to the, out of the office to meet with another client or do a presentation or whatnot. So compressing your time, and I address this, in my video during the insane productivity, is making sure that you become more efficient in everything that you do. So if you're going to do analysis and do some mortgage coach analysis and do some TCAs, you want to do them all at the same time, because you're going to find that you're going to duplicate the same things. Why go do one now and then answer some phone calls or make some phone calls and then come back to it and have to reprice and do it? So I have found that has just been extremely effective for me. I thought I was great at it, and then I learned that I wasn't as great at it, and I'm learning to be better at it every single day. Saying that these can be in compartmentalizing everything, putting these things into compartments, and doing them more efficiently and effectively at one time. And the biggest thing for me, and I had done this before anyway, but, I was going out and leveraging my B2Bs. I plant myself. I just joined a club, a very fancy high-end club here in town, a business club, and I go to that club now and I plant myself. And I allow people to come rotating in rather than me driving all over God's green earth to meet people. Because that's what I do in my Genius Zone. All I do is meet with clients and meet with referral partners. I don't do much of the other parts of business anymore. So I would say, time compression. So everything that we're talking about is time. But I think time compression is the biggest piece on it. So that's what I'd like to just contribute is, get your bookends in, get your jam sessions, but when you work, try to remember to not just do a to-do list, but to compress things into like-minded activities so that you can get the biggest bang for your buck on your time.
I think that's so important because, like you mentioned, I think oftentimes loan officers find themselves driving all over, especially as you're newer in the business. And, certainly the fact that you've gotten to the pinnacle where you can only do those specific activities is great. We got a question about the loan officer vital few, Jen. What do you view? Well, can you real quick just give, from your perspective, what the vital few means, and then what do you think are a few of the best vital fews for loan officers to focus on?
Well, I think the biggest one is meeting or speaking with your clients, whether you do, oh, there I am, meeting or speak. Oh, look it's nice and green. It's cold now. It is meeting with your clients or speaking with them directly. I think that, to use an analogy is that we're the fishermen, right? And we've got to hook the person. And you know how sometimes when you hook a fish, you think you have it and you yank on the pole and it goes flinging over and you've lost it, right? I think our job is to hook the fish. That is first and foremost, and hook it good before you bring it in. So number one would be to meet with my clients. That's one vital piece that I have, is meet or talk to my clients. Two is, for me, training. I do a lot of training classes, and for me that is how I meet realtors and start sifting through and deciding who is going to be a real partner with me and who might just be in my database. So that's really, really important for me. And then the third thing for me is that I look at my business plan every day. I actually look at it every day. And just like Dave was saying, I'm living my best life ever. I'm using that journal. And so if you haven't ordered that journal, just order it. Get it over with, order it, and use it every day. I'm using that daily to assess my gratitudes, to find out what my top items are. So those are my three, is that I'm making sure that I'm on track every single day. I love Darren's analogy of, being on the airplane that goes from San Diego or San Diego to Boston, and it's just a hair off and it misses the target. So every day I'm looking to make sure that I'm using those metrics that I have set up every single day.
Love it, Jen. So we've got about 12 minutes left. I do want to encourage folks, if you have a question that you want us to address in this call. Also, we're going to be talking about productivity again next week. So whether we get to your answer or whether we take today's call and we bring something that's just a best practice. Here's the playbook to being insanely productive next year. One idea I want to make sure that that doesn't go by without being discussed is how important it is to get clear on your values and your why. At the end of the day, the level of clarity and passion you have around your mortgage why. Obviously, everybody in this calls on with Mortgage Coach, so also being super clear on your Mortgage Coach why is so important. So that's one of the reasons why we created a couple training tools. One was the 12 weekly reminders, which we've been showing throughout the call, and the other was the Mortgage Coach Values and Why worksheet, which, by the way, we put a link, or we put a download to that. You can download it in handouts. Also, you can go into our support page and search Why worksheet in support and pull this up. But it's something that if you have not done it already, get clear on your mortgage why. Why are you a loan officer? What are the values that drive you? And then, of course, if you're a Mortgage Coach loan officer, be equally clear on, why are you on the Mortgage Coach team? What is it about Mortgage Coach that is so vital to your success? Have a higher purpose and a higher level of clarity. So I do want to urge folks to download this, go through this exercise. By the way, if you are on this call and you have already got clear on either your mortgage why or your Mortgage Coach why or both, share those in questions. We would love to I collect that stuff. So if you've already got something and you can either type it out quickly or you can cut and paste it, you've got 10 minutes, share it in questions so that we can collect this stuff during today's call. So Todd, where do you think we should take it from here?
I think we should try to squeeze in Bliss Sawyer. I think Bliss always has brought so much value, and I think that this idea of, it's not that difficult, right? These are pretty simple concepts that most of us tend to poorly execute, and I would love to hear Bliss talk a little bit more about the vital few. And Bliss, you there?
I am here.
Welcome. And so Bliss, I see you grew and you implemented through this whole insane productivity process. So I would love to kind of hear your thoughts on whether it's the vital few or something else that you thought was really critical to your growth this year.
Sure, yeah. So this has been amazing for me to kind of go through this process, and there's so much information. It's been interesting for me to look back now and see what I chose to really focus on. And so two thoughts. One is the vital functions. So for me, I chose my 3 vital function as marketing, of course, to get new business, doing pre-qualifications, and then taking applications. So have really been able to step away from the process from application to closing. So with my team, we meet once a week about the loans process, and I send a text or an email so that my referral partner and the borrowers don't feel like I have left them, right? I want to keep that connection going, but I'm really not involved in the day-to-day stuff. I never want to, again, ask someone for a letter of explanation. Just if I never do that again, it's like if I never go into Walmart again, my life will be perfect. And so that's just what works for me. I think everyone's workflow is different, so you can't copy what someone else is doing without first analyzing where you're at and what works for you. So those are my vital functions that have caused me to analyze every task and decide whether it's something I need to do and can I do it better, or is it something that I have a production assistant / marketing assistant 25 hours a week, and then I have a processor. So we as a team have tried to look at all of these different things to decide who's the best person to take this on, with the ultimate goal that I'm the one that needs more time to bring in new business. So that's been amazing to go through that process, because I have a hard time letting go, but it's really made it easier for me to let go, because if it doesn't fit into these 3 vital functions, I should not be doing it. So that's kind of the first thing that I've taken away that's probably had a huge impact. The other thing is going back to the jam sessions. I think that, in my life as a coach and coaching people from brand new loan officers to people that struggle to people that are top producers, what I find that people that are top producers do that's different is they spend time being creative. So when you have specific time set aside with no interruptions, it allows you to be creative, whether that's in creating a marketing campaign or being creative in, even creating some social media posts. There are tons of products out there that will automate your social media, but I'll warn you right now, it takes away the personal touch. Your social media and even your emails, it all needs to have your voice. So even if you are using a service, you still need to do some personal things now and again. So having those jam sessions, it allows you to have quiet time to be creative. And every top producer in our industry takes time to be creative. That's how they grow their business. That's how they create positions. That's being creative. Creating ways to improve the team and hire new people and handing off. So it's have time to be creative, if that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense, and I knew you would bring it, because you actually hired through in the middle of insane productivity. You grew your team as you realized that you were spending time on things that weren't your vital few, which was scary for you, right?
Life, yes. Yeah, it was, because I've had 2 other assistants. They both didn't work out for different reasons. I'm like, I'm never going to do that again. It wasn't worth it. It sucked the life out of me. I'll just, produce my, my 8 to 10 a month. I can do that. It's fine. But, in the end, I want to produce more, and I know I have the ability to produce more. I just don't want to work longer hours. And it's the only way to do it is hiring a team. So, yeah, best day of the year, actually.
Best day of the year. I love it.
So
all right, Mr. Savage. So I won't. Your secret's safe with all few hundred of us.
So couple things, folks. So one, I want to go ahead and get everybody's feedback on what was your favorite interview of 2016. We're, rather than put up all 15, we're putting, of the top 5. Which one was your favorite? So if you watched one of these calls and it was a favorite of yours, please let me know which one is your favorite. And right now, a very small percentage of you have voted, and I know a lot of you, if not most of you, have actually watched these calls. So please, I'm going to give it like another minute before I take down this poll. Vote on what was your favorite based on the calls, the 5 top calls of the year. Jocko's call, the Scripps call with Tim Raheem, Jeremy, and Danny, 5 big ideas from 6 producers, turning leadership into a competitive advantage, and build, lead, world class. The cool thing is all of them are being voted on, so that makes me really happy that every single one of these is being voted on. The other thing I want to talk about before we wrap it up is just building a team. Whether you're an individual loan officer and you're closing less than 5 loans a month, so it's hard to justify a team, or whether, if you're that person, you have a team, you have a processor, you have people around you that you can delegate things to, that you can manage, you at least have processes that you manage, or you're trying to build a team. I'm thinking about next week's call, Insane Productivity, putting a little more focus around team building. We within our elite community of the Insane Productivity Group, we meet every Friday and we do masterminds, and it became, I would say the most commonly asked question was, questions about team building. So we did a call, I don't know if it was last week, no, it was the week before, and it was just all about team building. And both Danny and Michelle were on the call, 2 mega producers, both are part of a group that does over 100 million a year in volume. And I know I'm going to have some great people on next week's call. So I don't want to say we're going to dedicate all next Tuesday around team building, but we're going to be very specific around team building. Also, I can't emphasize enough, if you did not watch this recording, it is available on our YouTube channel. I will make it available in chat so you can download it. And if you're listening to the recording, look in the description of the YouTube channel, and we will have a link to this call. So make sure you check this out before next week, but we are going to talk about that a bit. So Todd, we've got less than 3 minutes. I'll hand it off to you as a coach. For those of you who don't know, Todd has been one of the country's most successful loan officers, branch managers. I've interviewed you a lot of times in the mortgage coach community. Todd's now a full-time coach with Building Champions. So Todd, as a coach, wrap this up, make it actionable, and get us ready for the new year and set it up next week.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, and it's always a great call. Anytime I've got a couple pages of notes when I'm moderating a call, tells me that there's definitely value added. I think the big key is, like I was saying a minute ago, that some of this is simple to implement. And the real question is that will you take the time to step back and try to do something new and different than you did? And as Dave mentioned, we had a lot of common themes throughout all of these mastermind calls, and it was a lot of fun over the last few months doing it. It's one of the things that we sort of stumbled into, that Dave had offered up, that he and I would co-lead a mastermind on Fridays for the first group of people who bought in Insane Productivity, and he and I really had a lot of fun doing it, and we kept getting great feedback from the community, so we kept doing it. We went past our original 4-week commitment, and we did it for the last few months. And jam sessions was always a common theme. So I would just say, if you haven't ever scheduled a jam session, in the Building Champions world, we call it on time, I would just commit, in the next 48 hours, when can you peel off 60 minutes? Dave will tell you he only does 20-minute jam sessions, but I would shoot for 60 to start. Darren Hardy says go for 90, but just schedule 60 minutes to work on your business, where you're not in the weeds like Danny talked about. Try to be thinking big picture. What are some of the things that I need to implement? And I would use that time to review your notes from this call, right? What else? What are your goals for 2017, right? Should you be looking at hiring assistants? Should you be looking at your vital few and trying to figure out, is there something else I can push, even if I don't have my own team yet, so to speak? Can I ask my processor to make a couple of my in-process calls, so that frees up a few more minutes for me each week? I would just really take the time to step back and say, what is it that I can do differently? I think that these next couple of calls that Dave's going to have the next 2 Tuesdays are going to be incredible, especially if he's taking that team building focus. Even if you don't think you're ready for a team, I would still be on there. This is where you're going to be growing as a loan officer over the next few years, and I would absolutely be on that call, and I would absolutely take notes. And then I would also not miss the call with Darren. The following week, you're always going to get a ton of value. I think that there's just a huge opportunity there. And so, really in the end, I think that the number one thing I would encourage you to do is do a jam session. The number two thing is take that time to review those notes. And the last thing, I mentioned it early on in the call, is there is a ton of value in all these different recordings that Dave has had available free to the whole mortgage coach community. And if you don't at least take the time to listen to these top 15 calls, take time to listen to the top 5. And I would just make that a commitment that you're going to listen to one a day between now and when you've listened to all the ones that you think are pertinent to you and your business. Because the bottom line is that, all the things that we all look for as loan officers day in and day out are already there for you, and they're free. You just have to step away from the craziness of our job and our life, and you've got to do that. So I'm super excited. Always privileged to be there. I see he's got Living Forward up there with Daniel. That would be another great one to listen to if you're just trying to get your life on track for next year. I always love talking about that part. But bottom line is it's the clock is ticking. Dave, any last words before we send everyone off to go get busy?
Yeah, no, well, a couple things. So one person asked about planning tools, and Building Champions and Todd have a great tool on their website, so you can download and get access to a business planning tool and a life planning tool. Also, Daniel's call, it's been watched almost 1,400 times. It was absolutely, I think it was number 6 on the list of the top 15 calls of last year, and I can't think of a better call, as you're going into the new year. So one, check out Living Forward, and go to Building Champions website to download one of their planning tools if you don't already have a planning tool. So again, I can't emphasize how grateful I am to everybody who took time to tune in to Mortgage Coach. Please, I'm going to post my last survey of the year, which is, let us know what you thought of today's call. If you're a guest on this call and you want to learn more about Mortgage Coach, click the last option. Did we meet your expectation today? Did you get some value? I hope you did. And those of you who are leading on this call, but we're talking about some of the most successful leaders in the mortgage industry, whether it's Kristin, who is speaking around the country, around everything she does, Danny Harani, one of the top loan officers in the country, Dave Gallegos, one of the top branch managers, Jen Duplessis. You have brought so much value to this community. Can't emphasize enough how much I appreciate everybody taking time to be here. And then Todd, of course, you've invested a lot of time in this Insane Productivity program. So thanks for the time. Hope everybody has an awesome new year. Looks like from the reviews, we delivered a lot of value today. So great job, team. And we're going to wrap it up. Have a wonderful New Year's celebration, and we'll see everybody next Tuesday. And that's a wrap.